3 weeks after my wedding, my wife sat me down and said something I will never forget. She said, "I need to tell you something before it's too late." Then she told me she was pregnant. The problem? The baby wasn't mine, and she already knew it. I met Zara 2 years before we got married. She was everything I thought I wanted: smart, confident. She was the kind of person who could walk into a room and instantly command attention. We dated for almost a year before I proposed. Everyone said we were perfect together. Our families approved. Our friends celebrated us. The wedding was beautiful. It felt like the beginning of the life I had always imagined. But 3 weeks after the honeymoon, everything changed. One evening, Zara came home unusually quiet. She sat across from me at the dining table and stared at her hands. I asked what was wrong. She said, "There's something I should have told you before we got married." My stomach tightened immediately. She told me she had just taken a pregnancy test. It was positive. At first I was shocked but also happy. We hadn't planned it, but I thought maybe life had just moved faster than we expected. Then she said something that froze me completely. "The baby might not be yours." Might not yours. I didn't understand what she meant, so I asked the obvious question: how could it not be mine? She took a deep breath and said something that still echoes in my head: "Before we got engaged, I was seeing someone else." Apparently, while we were dating, she had briefly reconnected with an old boyfriend. She said it only happened once, and that it meant nothing, but the timeline made things unclear. There was a real chance the baby belonged to him. I felt like the ground had disappeared beneath my feet, but the next thing she said was even worse. She reached for my hand and said, "I still want us to raise the baby together." I stared at her, not because I didn't hear her, but because I couldn't believe she actually said it. She explained that she loved me, that the other guy meant nothing, that she wanted our marriage to work, and that the baby deserved a stable family. Then she said something that shocked me even more. "You would still be the father." That was the moment I realized something. She wasn't asking. She was expecting. For days I barely slept. Every time I looked at her, I saw the lie that had been sitting between us for months. But part of me still loved her, and that made the decision even harder. My friends told me to leave immediately. My mother told me something different. She said, "Sometimes love means forgiveness, but forgiveness and responsibility are two very different things." And I wasn't sure I could carry both. Eventually, we decided to do a DNA test. Not immediately, but after the baby was born, 9 months later, a little boy came into the world, and despite everything, when I saw him for the first time, something inside me changed. He was innocent. None of this was his fault. For the first time, I wondered if maybe I could still be his father. 3 weeks later, the DNA results arrived. We sat together in the living room. Neither of us spoke. I opened the envelope. My hands were shaking, and when I read the result, everything became clear. I looked up at Zara and said 3 words: "He's not mine." She started crying immediately, but strangely, I didn't feel anger anymore, just clarity, because the decision I had been struggling with 4 months suddenly felt simple. I stood up, walked to the window, and said something she probably didn't expect: "I'm not leaving because of the baby." She looked at me confused. Then I continued, "I'm leaving because you expected me to accept the lie." We separated 2 weeks later, but here's the part most people don't understand. I still visit the child sometimes, not as his father, just as someone who once thought he would be, because even though the marriage ended, the story didn't stop there. Life rarely ends as cleanly as people imagine. Some people say I should have stayed. Others say I should have left the moment she told me. But the truth is, there's no perfect decision when trust is broken, only the one you can live with.